final three schools now, starting off with the Virginia Cavaliers. So Tony Elliott started off his Virginia tenure with back-to-back 3-win seasons, had some improvement last year in year 3 with a 5-7 record. They still missed a bowl game, though. That obviously wasn't enough to go bowling. Cavaliers now have not played in a bowl game since their Orange Bowl appearance back in 2019. So the last 5 years, they've missed out on a bowl game. There's some optimism, though, that could change. You see their win total right now is 6.5. Vegas thinks they will make a bowl game in 2025. They upgraded their roster to the portal at quarterback, on the offensive line, and in the secondary. Still some questions in the team's weaponry right now, but they did a good job in the portal, Don, and really that secondary could be pretty good this year.
No, absolutely. They've had a reputation lately for putting especially safety. When you think about Shamari Connor, this past year they had it's Jonas Sanker. I had to think it. It took me a second. We get so many names on this show. But, no, absolutely. I think if they can – last year the defense, I think, was in the front end, it was a little bit of a struggle, especially stopping the run. Yeah, but you look at this secondary and what they have back there, they've got a shot to keep themselves in games. And I think their offense with Chandler Morris at quarterback could be a little more consistent and not put them in so many bad spots. But certainly that's what you're looking at, a team to be solid in coverage, keep the back end on, don't give up too many explosive plays, and keep you in ball games for sure.
Definitely. I am a little worried with the receiving core, though. So they upgraded quarterback and on the offensive line, but they were 104th in receiving grade last year. And Malachi Fields, who I think is a top 15 receiver in the country, in fact, he's my honorable mention receiver on our top 10 receiver rankings. So he's basically my number 11 receiver in college football. He transferred over to Notre Dame, and your top tight end, too, and Tyler Neville is gone, too. So I'm really worried with the receiving core right now that wasn't very good last year, and you lose a star receiver in Malachi Fields.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's going to be the challenge for Chandler Morris. And Chandler Morris, a guy who went down to North Texas last year after transferring there from TCU. Injury-plagued 2023 at TCU, went down to North Texas, high-flying offense down there. Really became the gunslinger, right? Kind of the same way we just mentioned with Kyle McCord at Syracuse. Morris went down there and did that at North Texas. 27 big-time throws last year, 6th most in the country. It's a very vertical offense. I don't necessarily know that he's going to get as vertical this year in Virginia. They don't quite do things like that. But decent runner. Top 20 passing grade last year, especially over the middle of the field, down the seams of a defense. If he can attack those safeties down the middle, Morris can make a lot of really good throws. The only thing is when you become that much of a gunslinger, just like McCord, is 23 turnover-worthy plays that were the 3rd most in the country. So 6th most big-time throws, 3rd most turnover-worthy plays, 17 of those 23 into zone coverage. So there's times where he's trying to force it for sure into certain tighter windows, and also 13 turnover-worthy plays on intermediate throws, 3 more than any other player in the country. So he's going to let it rip. No question. Chandler Morris, look, he got booted from TCU. Josh Hoover took his job after an injury and all of that. He came out pissed off last year. He played well at North Texas, especially in the first half of the season. Now he's coming back up to Virginia to prove he can do it at a Power 4 level.
Definitely. So they brought in some really good transfers in the offensive line. I will say one of them, Monroe Mills, who's a really good tackle from Louisville. He's out for the entirety of the 2025 season with a torn ACL. That's a brutal loss for them. They still have a great center coming in, though, in Brady Wilson. Brady Wilson was one of the best centers in America last year at UAB. 85.5 PFF grade, was 3rd among all centers in college football. He was one of only 2 centers in America with top 10 grades as with a pass blocker and as a run blocker. On 1,211 career pass blocking snaps, Brady Wilson has only given up 1 sack so far in his career. He's a great player and should be a great center for Chandler Morris this year.
No, I agree with that. One of the most, we have a lot of good centers in college football right now, and he's one we have yet to mention this offseason. He's darn good. He was really good at UAB last year.
So I mentioned before, great secondary at Virginia this year, and really the star of that unit, Dawn, is they're at safety.
Another safety. It feels like a theme every year now. We've got another Virginia Cavaliers safety who's solid, and Antonio Clary's the guy who only played 5 games before tearing his ACL last year, but he was really good. 79.6 PFF grade, 86.9 run defense grade, and I think that's a big thing with these Virginia safety, right? I talked about Shamari Connor, Jonas Sanker. These guys are physical. They're big and they're physical, and for some reason this school has become a box safety factory. Antonio Clary's the next guy. As long as he comes back healthy, you're talking about a guy who can really help you down in the box. This team needs more run support. If they're going to get it from their secondary and a guy like Clary, there's nothing wrong with that. Take it by any means necessary, but he's the one who's next in line as long as he's healthy.
So the win total, like I said before, set at 6.5, which basically Vegas is saying they're going to have their best year in 5 or 6 years at Virginia. Dalton, it feels like a make or break year 4 for Tony Elliott. It feels like they need to make a bowl game in 2025 for him to stay as the head coach. Will they make a bowl game, and will they go over 6.5? I'm going to go under.
I'm going to go under with leaving. It leaves you open the possibility that he could go 6-6.
Yeah.
Right? Because I see 1, 2, maybe 3 games, depending on what we think of Wake Forest. I don't see a lot of gimmies here. Even week 1, Coastal Carolina, that's generally a pretty good football team. That's not a gimme.
Like William and Mary's the one.
Yeah, that one. And
Washington State without Jake Dicker could be interesting.
We don't know where that's going. I would still take him to beat Stanford.
Yeah.
But it depends what you think of Chandler Morris. Because if Chandler Morris, here's the thing. If he comes up and it's just because it's not North Texas and the American and he really cooled down the second half of last year, if you think Chandler Morris is going to come in and turn the football over and play more like, he played very hot and cold the second half of last year, if you think that's going to be the case, you're probably not a huge believer in this. I like that they got him in, but if you look at the way his grading went, the second half of last year, it slowed down a lot. I think I'm still going to go under, which leaves me the possibility of them still going 6-6 and being kind of optimistic about it. But there's just not a lot of star power. And you mentioned the concern at wide receiver. I'd feel a lot better if they still had Malachi Fields.
Yeah.
That's for sure, because I think that's a guy that Morris would have loved throwing to.
Yeah. I look at this right now. They haven't won 7 games in a season since 2019. Like, I don't know. It's tough for me to say they're going to go 7-5 when they haven't done it in 5 years.
Last year, they won 4 of their first 5 against the softer part of the schedule, and then they lost 6 out of 7.
Yeah.
When it got real in the ACC, it really kind of fell apart on them, and they upset Pitt at one point, but that was an ugly football game.
I'm surprised it's 6.5. I would have made it 5.5. Honestly, I don't know. Expecting them to have their best year in 6 years.
Getting over that hump is something. I'm with it. I'm going under.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they could make a bowl game. I just think 5.5 is much more of a realistic line for Virginia right now, and it's a huge year for it. This is a big year for Tony Elliott. He needs to make a bowl game, I think, this year, and we'll see if they could do it in 2025. Hey, thanks for watching another episode of the PFF College Football Show. Please make sure you guys subscribe to the channel.
Also, subscribe to PFF Plus at subscribe.pff.com for all of the same data and grades that we use in our show, plus fantasy tools, betting tools, and our mock draft simulator.